What's going
What's
on,
going on?
Jess? Not
Not
much,
much. How you
man.
doing today?
Yeah, I'm kind of like tired, but you know how we got to do it. Tired or not, we got a lot of subject matter to talk about, and it's very, very important.
Okay.
So, yeah, having said that, we might as well get right back into it. Why do we
Okay.
need to talk about how to get our morals and values back tonight? Why do we have to talk about that?
Two key reasons. Number one, it's lost in today's modern society. And for number two, it's something that we all struggle with probably on a day to day basis. And we need to treat and do better by others to help the society get back to where it possibly should be.
Yeah, if we look around and see what's really going on, we'll realize that our morals, which will be the behavior that people apply in life, these standards of right and wrong. A lot of us don't know what's right. We don't know what's wrong. And our morals have gotten so low. And what we need to do is talk about how we can raise them up because last week we talked about how, as a society, we have lost our morals and our minds. And we had a really
Right.
good discussion about that. But
Right.
today, we're going to talk about how we can gain our morals back. And that's one thing we have to often remember is that whenever we talk about a problem, we got to talk about a solution. And a lot of people don't like to talk about the solutions because we're too busy complaining about the problems.
Hmm.
So we might as well start off by talking about this. Take it away from here.
Before we can gain our morals back, we must do something very important.
And here it is.
We all must look deep within ourselves.
Let
Then,
me stop. Let me stop before we go to the next one because that's the thing that we got to do first. In order
okay,
to get our morals and our standards and our values back, Chaz, I think we have to look within ourselves
right,
because a lot of times we look to those from without. We look for all kind of outer entities, but the answer lies within ourselves. You know, we can meditate and all that good stuff that we like to do, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it all starts within ourselves. We have to look within ourselves to say, in order for me to make this society a better place, I have to start off with looking within myself. And then when I do that,
can you hear me? You just
yeah,
faded.
I
Okay.
said when I do that, and then I was putting up number one.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Number one, recognize our own faults first concerning our lack of morals individually. Now, I kind of want to walk back a little bit to what you just said about a person has to look within. Here's what I
Mhm.
would suggest: when a person looks within, and I hate saying this, brother, if a person looks at him or herself as less than a piece of crap or a piece of garbage, 9 times out of 10, they're going to treat society that way. And this is just common sense. But my question is this: we have to have better self-esteem and we have to feel better about ourselves. Not that we're $1 million, not that we're the biggest people on earth, but we need to feel better about ourselves because if we don't, like I just mentioned, we're going to go around treating people like crap, screwing them over, not treating them properly because that's the way 9 times out of 10 we see ourselves. Would you agree?
I agree with you 100%, and that's some of the major issues that we have. A lot of us, we have jobs, we have apartments, we have homes, we have all these material things, but inside of us, we are empty. And because we're empty, we don't know how to treat each other because we haven't worked on ourselves. We always talking about other people, but in order to get our morals back, we have to recognize that we're at fault first.
Right,
We have to look at our own individual faults first. And
right,
that's one of the things that we have a difficult time doing because we're too busy looking at other people as
right.
opposed to looking at ourselves. And that's one of the major downfalls that we have to accept because that's how society is. We always talk about other people and what they do, what they don't do. But
Right.
application is we got to start within ourselves first.
And I'll also suggest too as well when you talk about ourselves, I would say
Mhm.
probably detaching from a lot of the social media, detaching a lot from the entertainment, and detaching a lot from the public news because what's going on is that we get most of our ideas from
Mhm.
that. So I would say if we cut back a little bit on that, not that you can't watch it or can't engage in it at all, but cut back on some of it, and that way it'll help you become better as far as that identifying those morals that we're lacking in. The next step is just be willing to make changes to better our morals and standards. And
Yeah,
this is
Chaz,
just go
go
ahead.
ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear what you said. And this is something you said.
This is something that is serious. Now, when we say make changes, they're not always notable to everybody, but within ourselves, for example, we're walking or we're driving, we see a homeless man or someone who's less fortunate. the first thing that comes in our head, oh, look at him. Oh, look at her. They need to get a job. I bet you they haven't washed their clothes in 3 years. That is not how you should be. You need to have more of a look. This person is down bad. They're not doing so hot. Why am I criticizing them? And we don't even know their story. So with some of these corrections, I would say we could make, these some are what internally, not always on
Mhm.
the outside.
Yeah, that's true. And this number two says we have to be willing to make changes to better our morals and standards. And this is where we are lost. The reason why we have not been able to get our morals back is because many of us we're not willing to make changes. And
Mm.
that's one of the things that we have to do. We have to be willing to make the changes. And it just appears that a lot of us we talk a good game, but when it's time to put up, we're not about putting up. That's why there's so right. Yeah, that's why there's so much jealousy. That's why there's so much envy. That's why there's so much vulgarity because
Mm.
we're not willing to make the changes to make ourselves better. And that's a huge hurdle that a lot of us, we can talk all we want to, we can pray and sing and all that, we can do all the things that we like to do, but yet until we're willing to make changes, Chaz, we have to come to ourselves and say, I have to make a change, not
Right.
you and everybody else. It all starts with me. And that's one of
Right.
the things that we have problems with.
Right. We got our first comment today. Sister Mashana fires in. She says hello. We appreciate her. Sister Barbara fires in here as well. She says Hotep Kings. We appreciate her.
But wouldn't you say that, Chaz? That's one of the biggest hurdles that many of us, instead of willing to make changes to better our morals, we say it now, but we really don't. We really don't mean it because we're not willing to make those changes, to make the sacrifice to make ourselves better people.
I would agree, and I would take it a step further with the morals. Just this whole moral thing, and we've been hitting on this over the last couple of weeks. And I'll just say this: we have to go back as far as what being a stickler and being serious about our morals, because we were taught at a young age from our parents, our grandparents. Most of us have been taught what's right from wrong. We used to run by those rules. We used to hold them up. Now we toss them to the wayside. So my thing
Mhm.
is, as a society, if we go back to just the basics, sticking to the morals as much as possible, this place will be a lot better. But we know what's going on, that a lot of the morals, and I said this time again, and I'll pass it back to you, our morals, most of them went down the trash can and went down the waste basket when our elders or our grandparents died. That's just my belief.
And that's why we got to be willing to make those changes because most of us, we've set them aside. And that's why our communities are struggling as much as they are now.
The next step, it says on the screen, now we can bring our morals, values, and standards back by elevating respect. Exactly. Listen, once you respect someone, that goes a long way. Because listen, if I respect you, I'm not going to call you a blank SOB. I'm not going to do something to your car or to your apartment or to your house knowing that that's wrong. So I would say elevate mostly Trump. That's the key here, brother. Elevate trumps everything. When you respect someone, you respect the property, you respect the president, you respect these people, you're not going to do certain things because you admire and you just care for that person. But on the flip side of that, when you don't have respect, you do anything you can think of, and that's not where we should be as a society. I'll pass it to you.
Yeah, because that's the thing about getting back morals and standards and values. It all starts with respect. If we don't have respect, especially for our youth and for
Mm.
ourselves and for our elders, we've lost, and that's why we're losing now. Because a lot of us aren't interested in elevating the respect, and these are the encouragements. If you
Right,
want to know how to get your morals back, how to have high standards and values, we have to elevate respect, the way we treat each other, the way we talk
mm.
to each other, the way we treat ourselves. See, this is why a lot of us are out just in the wilderness wandering because we really don't look at the respect factor to say it all starts with respect. And that's why we don't like to watch these kinds of broadcasts or shows because we hit and miss because we're not serious about
Right.
the subject matter and the respect. When we lose respect, as most of us have done, we're a sad society, and that's just where we are now.
And here's and I hate doing this, brother. I just want to ask if I could please go back and touch back up on that respect. All it takes is for a minor disagreement, and we all know this: a minor disagreement over something frivolous, and what comes out of a person's mouth will 9 times out of 10 tell you the respect level or the respect factor for you. For example, I don't care what me and you go through or what me and the next man or woman may go through. There's just certain boundaries I'm not going to cross because I have respect for you. But I'm telling you now, brother, all you got to do is piss somebody off, make them
Mhm.
angry, make them upset. And I'm telling you, they are going to show you their respect factor, but how they, what they say comes out of their mouths towards you.
And even when we look at our families, the way we talk to our siblings, the way we talk to our parents, the way we talk to our relatives, that is a disgrace because we've lost our morals. Now, we all get into arguments and we all have problems with each other, but there's a way to handle those problems and we can talk about it and we can disagree. But for me to start yelling and calling people names and just, I mean, people that come from the same blood, we even talk bad to our grandparents, our parents.
Mm.
This is why we are in a bad state. And I don't believe that many of us are serious about getting back to the old landmark, as you said earlier, because we are so far gone. We're not wanting to recover, as this next one says. We don't know that we can
You
recover
know that
from this trouble and terrible decline of morals. We can do that, Chaz. We if we put our minds to it, there's hope. But a lot of us have no hope because we've been drugged through the mud so many years. We've been kicked in the teeth. We've been done so wrong for so many years. Now we feel like there is no hope. We cannot recover. And that's sad when a nation, when a people who feel as though we cannot recover, so therefore we have to go into the dirt and the mud and act the way we act.
I agree with you 1,000%. And I'll just say this quickly too. It starts from us. It starts with what we can control. I can control with how my moral thought process is, how I treat individuals, or even how I treat myself. And I would just say this: just because something has happened to you, which at this point everything has happened to all of us, but we can't let what happened to us in life make us throw our morals down the trash can. And
Yeah.
that's what's really going on, brother. Because we used to have morals. Something has happened. Something has affected us. So now we say, you know what? I don't care anymore. I'm throwing all this out the window. And now I'm going to disrespect any and everybody I see because
Yeah.
I'm hurt. I'm frustrated. I'm angry. And I want payback and revenge. And that's really where the decline of morals have come in at. Letter C. Prioritize lifting high morals instead of low ones among our family. Yes, and these are some 3 basic ones: respect, honesty, and compassion. This
Yeah.
last one, brother, I want to hit home: compassion.
Okay.
Start feeling bad for people. And that's what I said: start. Have empathy for people. Try to put yourself in their shoes. Because here's the sad part: what I hate to hear people saying, they act like they have no compassion. They don't care about anything. They don't care about anybody. But as soon
Teach.
as it comes to them in their front door, as soon
Yeah.
as it comes to their mother, as soon as it comes to them in their household, now they want a whole bunch of flowers. Now they want a whole bunch of cards. Now they want a whole bunch of people commenting and emailing them and telling them how sad they feel for their situation. As a society, brother, you know it's cruel where a lot of people, they just don't have compassion for anything. I mean, for example, a man could have his leg, let's just say, hit by a car. People are not going to care. They're going to say, oh, well, you know what? He shouldn't have been there. He should have been looking. No, things happen. Mistakes happen. Have some respect and show some sympathy for people, man.
We're in a deep vortex of debauchery, meaning that we live in a society now where everything is so negative, everything is so out of control, everything is just up in the air. And this is why we're having to have broadcasts like this. Because when you look at this letter, number C, when it says prioritize, that's key. In other words, what are our priorities? Most of our priorities are not wanting to treat people the way that we know that we should treat them or working on ourselves. Most of our priority is trying to get something material, as I said last week. If we're not trying to get something material, we're trying to find a man or we're trying to find a woman, and all that's fine. All that's fine in and of itself. or we're trying to be someone that we're not. Our priorities are in the wrong places. It's about maybe walking, getting in shape. All that's fine, but we don't lift up high morals like that, and that's why our society is in the gutter. I would think it's in the gutter right now, and that's why we are struggling so much, especially when we talk about it says prioritize lifting high morals instead of low ones among our family. See, this is among our family that we're producing these kids that's growing up who have low morals because they see what I do, they see what you do, and a lot of us don't like to discuss this because we're the culprits of this.
Exactly. Letter D. Don't be concerned about what others think about you, or I'm sorry, think about your newfound love for values. Yeah, listen, people are going to talk regardless, and tell them when they come at you with that. Well, why are you having all these good values now? Because it's going to elevate your mind, it's going to reduce your stress levels, and last but not least, it's going to put you in a position to where you're going to feel a little bit more better about life. Because as we mentioned earlier, when you have low morals, when you don't care about anything, it really puts you in a position to where you'll do anything. And I think I kind of hate doing this, brother, but I think you have to tie morals in with money from the aspect of morally. There's just certain things I'm not going to do for money. But when you have low morals, you'll do anything for money, and you'll do some heinous things for money that to me is morally wrong. So that's how I kind of feel about that.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about us when we start trying to lift up our values. They say, "Oh, you think you're better than us?" No, this not has anything to do with thinking you're better. This has to do with life. This has to do with individual growth, you see. And this is why I'm saying that if we want to really be honest about getting our morals back high and getting our values and standards back, we're not going to have to worry. We shouldn't be concerned about what others think about us, especially in our families. Because see, a lot of us are afraid of our families.
Uh-oh.
We talk a good game, but we're afraid of our families. Parents are afraid of their children. Children are afraid of their parents. And it's like a merry-go-round, and we're just playing games with ourselves. But we have a couple of comments here.
Okay. Sister Barb fires away. She says, in my opinion, good moral practice begins with self-awareness, respect for others, understanding, being a good listener, and being mindful of others. Agree to disagree. Okay. I'll let you take a shot first.
Yeah, she's right, because if we disagree, then that means I'm not going to speak to you anymore. If we disagree, I'm going to take something that I loaned you that I know you need. I'm going to do everything I can to bring you down. And that's low. That's low when it comes to that. Or I'm going to take back something that you desperately need. And so her opinion is good when it comes to it begins with knowing who you are. And then it starts with respect for others, understanding, being a good listener. Now, we always talk about how we were treated back in the day, and we were, as far as racism and all of that. But a lot of us today, we're treating each other basically in a way, in a manner that's not healthy for relationships and communications. And so this is why this is important.
And now, Sister Marie fires in there. She says, so tell brothers, we appreciate her. I want to go back to Sister Barbara's comment where she said, respect others. Brother, just that in itself, we could talk about that for 2 days straight. Respect others. Treat them how, and this is a basic thing, but treat them the way you would want to be treated. We as a society, brother, we do not respect each other. We don't. And all you have to do is just look at some of the things that come out of our mouths that tells you that we don't respect others. And then she had one more point I want to touch upon where it says having self-awareness. Stop being in denial. When you have an issue, be self-aware. So you know what? I have an issue with my morals. I need to fix it and do something about it quickly. Because I'm telling you now, in this society, we really, really need more self-awareness and to practice our morals.
And all you got to do is when someone loses their respect for you, the one of the things that you can look at to see initially where it starts is how they talk to you. If you ask me, no, seriously, if you ask me, Big Brother Jahi, can you move your coat off the couch, instead of me saying, "Oh, sure, I'll move it." This is how we can't talk like you and I are talking now. We always got to ratchet it up to 10 over some of the most simplest things. That's when you lose respect and your morals and values are low, because we can't even answer each other with a serious answer without blowing up over something that's really minor and trivial.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Letter E. Make sure that we teach the children about the importance of having good morals. Yes, in school, they're going to see a lot of children. And at home, if we nip this in the bud, teaching them to respect others, treat people the way they want to be treated, don't steal common things. And I keep putting this in there, brother. And I think you do need to do something about money and morals. I keep saying this because it
Yeah.
keeps coming across my mind. Teach our children. Don't do everything for a dollar. Do not just do anything because somebody says they're going to pay you, because it makes you look foolish. It puts shame on your family. And not only that, I'll even take it a step further, as we mentioned earlier. Someone offers you cash, you'll do something heinous to your own loved one. Brother, I just cannot, I cannot respect that. I cannot respect it. So, in back to the point where we're talking about teaching our children importance at the ages, I would say of age 5 on up, is when we should start introducing those basic morals, and hopefully it'll stick with them as they grow older.
Yeah, and I think when they come out the womb, you should always teach children the importance of having good morals. But see, today in our society, we're not teaching our children about anything. We're too busy giving them something. We're too
Okay.
busy giving them toys. We're too busy giving them clothes. We're too busy giving them tablets and cell phones. So, we're too busy teaching them how to use vulgarity and thinking it's cute. Yeah, yes,
Ooh.
we do. Yes, we do. We're too busy teaching them how to do stupid things. And as opposed to teaching them how to be good children, we teach them the dumb stuff. And then we wonder when they grow up and begin to be wicked people, then we
Wow.
wonder where have we gone wrong? And that's a problem. And most parents, grandparents, and great grandparents, we don't want to accept the fact that we're not teaching our children the right things. Instead of teaching a child when they pout, okay, it's okay to have a problem, but you don't have to pout because you can't always have your way. We
Right.
think that's cute, Chaz. We laugh and think that's cute. And this is why our morals are down in the gutter, as I keep saying today.
Absolutely. Letter F. Be polite in conversations. Everything isn't about hostile and antagonistic in our verbiage. This is where many of us have lost our morals. Yes, be polite in conversations. This is basic. Even when someone does something for you, just a basic thank you. I appreciate that. Basic
Mhm.
things like that. And like you said, even on the screen here, quit being antagonistic. Quit always ready to jump the gun. Quit always ready to blow up and being hostile. And just those two in itself are what's really killing our morals, because it's like we sit back, we're waiting. It's like we're looking to catch someone in a loophole. We're looking to catch them slipping. We're looking to go off on them. And when they do that, we explode. Quit being like that.
Chad, I'm gonna come through the back door on you on this one. And I agree with you 100%. I'm gonna come through the back door on you on this one. So now that you open the back door, I'm gonna come through the back door. One of the problems that we have today, and a lot of us, we just won't accept it or acknowledge it. We cape for other people. Caping
Okay.
for people is if I catch you with your hand in the cookie jar.
Okay.
Instead of you saying, okay, you caught me. Somebody else, when I say I caught Chaz with his hand in the cookie jar, instead of them saying, wow, he shouldn't have done that, they're going to say, well, maybe, and they're going to give you an excuse, you see.
Yeah.
We're going to keep for you. And I despise that. But that's the new thing now. People don't even know people, but when you tell them something happened, they begin to cape. That is so impolite. That is so unprofessional. That is so disrespectful. That is so indignant. But yet we don't even see it because we're so used to, we cape for people all the time. And that's not polite because we
I,
don't know the situation. Instead of just sitting back and saying, you know what, that's right. We come to somebody's defense when we know they're wrong, and that brings our morals down real fast.
and I agree. I just take it a step further, brother. It depends too. For example, if we like that person, they could
Mm-hmm.
do something wrong, and like you said, we'll take up for them. But if we don't care about the person or we don't like them, it's the opposite. That's what he gets. They need to throw the book at him. I could tell that he was having a bad day, so yeah, they should do something to him. He just looks suspicious, right? He looked like he's up to no good. These are the type of comments that come out of people's mouths when they don't like the person. So I would agree, brother. When they don't like the person,
Mm-hmm.
they slam him. But when they like the individual, they love him. They give him credit.
They're gonna cape for them. All it takes, Let a religious man or a religious so-called religious woman do something wrong, and you can catch them, you can see them in a video, and most of the people that like them are going to defend them. Let a sports athlete or let a movie star, an entertainer, let somebody get caught doing something they shouldn't do, and instead of us saying that was wrong what they did, because we have grown and started to like them, we have began to develop an affiliation with them. They don't even know us. But because we have stooped to a low level in our society, we're going to take up for these people because we see them on TV every day, or because we like them. Let a political figure mess up, and when we deal with that political figure, somebody's going to come to their defense. No one's perfect. See, and this is why our morals get low when we start caping. And I'm gonna get off that now, Chazz. But that's one thing that I must work on. I must work on not being. I despise that when I'm exposing someone and someone that's not even around. They come in and don't know anything about the situation, and the first thing they're going to say is, "Well, maybe that person," and then they give them an excuse. I hate that with a passion, and I'm going to start checking people because it's not right, and I got to settle down because all my life I've always had this fight with people, fight gorillas, fight monkeys all over. And today, in this society, when you deal with somebody, watch and see, Chazz, though somebody cape for them and they don't even know them.
You're absolutely right on that. That was a good little rant you just went on. As we proceed to next letter, G. When necessary, apply good morals in our everyday situations. And these are things that the common man may not see. For example, you know that there's a weak spot in the store. You go in and you know for a fact you could steal something easily without nobody knowing, and you know the cameras won't go off. Don't do that. And a lot of us are like that, not only in the store, or we go over to someone's house. For example, we have an elder. They go to the bathroom. They have something lying down. They have bad memory, or they always are misplacing things. We slip it in our pocket. Now, these are things that are wrong that we shouldn't do. Now, if you had good morals, you wouldn't practice these kind of things. And it's not only stealing, it's just things in general. For example, giving things back to people. For example, if I loan you something and I say in 2 weeks, I expect it back, but for some reason my memory is bad, it's off, I just can't remember. Instead of saying, you know what, that brother must have forgot he gave me this, I'm going to return it. You know what we're going to do? We ain't going to return it. We're going to keep it. So these are the things I'm saying. These are morals that we need to practice. Give that stuff back to that man. And when you say, you know what, brother, did you forget you gave me this, ink pen or pencil? Oh, yeah, I appreciate that. That's what a good person is. And I'll just say this real quick. I give a lot of credit to people who, for example, they wake up in the morning or they go to their bank account and they say, someone must have made a mistake and put, an extra $600 or $700 in my bank account. Or I found $600 or $700 laying down in the parking lot. Brother, some people take these things to the police station and they say, I am putting this money back. And a lot of people are saying, that's a good individual. That is a good individual because most of us will keep it.
Well, no, and then they'll say that's a blessing. Somebody lost something. And the person that finds it calls it a blessing, but the person that lost it is crying. And this is how schizophrenic we are. Here's something I want to say too. Just about 5 minutes ago, I came through the back door. Right now, I'm gonna come through the window, and later on, I'm gonna kick the front door down. But this part, I'm coming through the window, is this. When necessary, apply good morals in everyday situations. Now, when we're in our spiritual gatherings, when we're at church, when we're at the spiritual meetings, when we're at the mosque, we're going to show good morals. Everything is nice, polite. How you doing, Mr. So-and-so? Oh, yeah, because see, we're in a building where everybody's supposed to be having good morals. But as soon as we step outside of that building, as soon as our feet get in that car, we're back to our old selves again. As soon as somebody cut us off, we say, you SOB. We just came out of a building that we're saying we're worshiping a deity, or we're trying to learn ourselves, or we're getting good vibrations and we're elevating. But yet we begin to do these things. But yet 5 minutes ago, do you notice when you go to these buildings, you never hear vulgarity in those buildings?
Right.
Everybody helps everybody. They open the door for older ladies. Everybody is helped in these buildings. Right. But as soon as we get out of that building, we got some of the most filthiest mouths on the face of the planet, man. And we got to stop that.
You're absolutely right about that. The next point, letter H. Grow up in our thinking when it comes to our behavior. I'll let you take this one.
Yeah, basically, we're talking about morals and values, and we're saying these are the ways we get them back. Last week, we talked about how we've lost them. Now, this week, we should have about 50,000 people because this is where the rubber meets the road because we're giving you application. But unfortunately, we don't want to hear this. So, what we're saying on this number, this letter H, is we just need to grow up, Chaz. Because a lot of us are little children. We act like little kids. We don't develop. We don't develop mentally. We don't develop emotionally. We don't develop psychologically. We're still acting the same way we acted when we were children. When we didn't have our way when we were kids, we couldn't get our way. We threw temper tantrums. Now we're grown adults and we're doing the same thing because we just don't want to grow up because everything that has happened to us has crushed us. And as a society, we're having a lot of issues. And so I say to all of us, myself included, grow up. Just grow up. That's what we have to do.
Yeah. And I would say also grow up in life. Quit always looking for revenge. Quit always looking for payback. I would say grow up, but I'm thinking in this aspect of mainly don't even look for revenge or payback or I want to get even and I'm going to even the score. Let it go. Just quit always trying to be in control of things because when you have this kind of behavior, that's how bad stuff happens where you try to get even with somebody. Now you can't sleep because they contemplating ways how to get back and scheme on even the score. So I would say that when things happen, just let it go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
The next one, letter I. Know that many of our low morals have been taught to us by a system of corruption and evil. And we said that corruption and evil is social media, the TV, these magazines, these podcasts that we bump every other day. Throw some of that away. And some of the low morals they're low, brother. They are so low that we need to detach from it. When I say detach, I'm even speaking about detaching for like 30, 60, 90 days, even a month. But brother, our morals are so low that we love these things so much. Asking them to detach for 30 days or even 30 minutes is a problem. But yeah, go ahead.
No, but I'm saying you're right because a lot of us brag. We listen to some of these podcasts, and these podcasts are filthy. But they tell jokes. They talk about people's parents. They talk about the handicapped. They talk about the elderly. They talk about those who are deformed. And instead of us saying, I will not take part in that, we brag and say, I listen to this certain person. I follow them. So we stick our chest out to show that we have low morals. And this is why Chaz, it is so hard to have a serious discussion with adults. With children, you're not going to get it. They haven't developed. They're still immature. But I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal because I'm included, but sometimes I just want to have a good conversation. Just a basic conversation about life. I don't want to watch comedy where somebody's cursing all the time. I don't want to see somebody getting their brains blown out on TV all the time. I don't want to see somebody cheating with somebody. I don't want to see all that, man. I just want to sit down and talk and cut everything off and just have a heartfelt conversation because the system I live in has taught me so much wickedness from politics to religion, cheating, scamming people. But this is why we, again, are having issues with getting our morals back because we're not interested in the kinds of little basic illustrations that we're talking about now.
I want to go back to the last one real quick, if I can just ask you a question. As an adult or a teenager that could be watching this, how come we can't look at something as a video game or a TV show or a movie? Why can't we look at something and say, you know what? Even though I know that's wrong, even though I know it's evil, even though I don't agree with it, brother, I don't agree with them watching it or listening to these shows, but they're going to do it regardless. So my question for you is, why can't we separate and not get sucked in? For example, I could listen to something and know that, it's messed up or whatever, but why do I have to get swept up in it and follow it? Why can't I say, I know that this is wrong, I'm not going to go by their standard? Why can't we separate that as adults?
Because when we were children, we allowed that crap to get into us at a young age. And as we grew, we kept bringing in the garbage into our system. As we become young adults, all the mess and nonsense have continually been dumped into our hearts. And now that we're adults, this stuff is festering It's festering in us, and we cannot do the thing that you're saying, because what you're saying is very practical and very pragmatic. But we can't do it because all of those years of us watching the soap operas, watching TV, watching murders, watching cheating, watching scam artists, watching people get beaten down, watching all this is a part of us. And now we're saying something that's hard to do because we have allowed this stuff to fester in us, and we don't use what is called discernment. That's why we're getting, as this letter says, we're getting swept up by bad morals that the media sells us, because the media is what sells us a lot of bad morals. The media is what sells us these wickedness, these wicked things. It's the magazines, it's the movies, it's social media, it's the comedians, it's our favorite entertainers, it's our artists, our musicians, it's everywhere. And we have gotten so low that a lot of us don't want to have this discussion, but we are rotten. We are as rotten as an apple. And I'm telling you, man, these are the reasons that our morals won't ever come back until we begin to realize that we've got to take a stand somewhere in our lives to say, I'm not going to be like that.
You're absolutely right. In fact, you took a lot of what I was going to say about the media part, is where most of it, that's where a lot of it is coming from. And it's just so bad to the point there, like you said, we're so attached to it, brother. It's so hard to get this stuff out of us. It's hard to get this stuff out of us.
In fact, and we don't want to mention, Chazz, and I'll give it back to you, but here's the deal. We love it, man. See, we don't want to admit the fact that we love wickedness. We love corruption. We love nonsense. We love comedy. We love all of the dirt. We're messy people. Many of us are. And therefore, we cannot get back what we're trying to say because we're too far gone. And that's a shame when a man or a woman cannot get back their own hearts when they know they out on a rafter somewhere.
You're right about that. Letter K. It says, be true to your faith and spirituality. They should give some kinds of positive guidelines, and they should. If you're a Christian, believing in God, if you believe in Buddha, if you believe in Allah, they have principles in these religions that teach you, treat others the way you want to be treated, or follow the commandments. These are good things that are good. So if you put them into practice and really mean them with all your heart, this should make you a better person. You should become more positive. But like we said earlier in previous broadcasts, we talk about it, and then when stuff starts happening, we throw our spirituality and stuff out the window. Then we just start acting ghetto and stupidly.
Yeah, and that's true, Chazz. I was going to say the same thing you said, so that's fine about, practice what you preach and all of this stuff. But here's another thing we got to look at, and we have to be honest with ourselves. And here's some honesty coming right at you. Basically, we're dealing with a lot of people who are negative, who are mean-spirited, and a lot of people don't care about faith or spirituality. Now, I didn't say
no. Come on now. Come on.
Let me break this down to you. A lot of people just want to complain. They don't want to do anything about themselves. We just like to complain and murmur and grumble. And so that's why we like messy reality shows, because it's always about somebody getting done wrong, somebody getting got first and then leaving. And then it's always about somebody being drugged through the dirt or the mud. It's always about throwing terrible words and ideologies with people, because a lot of us are not true to our faith. We go to church and we go to these spiritual meetings and we go to the mosque. Most of us go every Sunday or every other Sunday. But when you look at our lives, Chazz, we are some of the worst people. Now, I'm not saying that it doesn't work. We're not allowing it to work. We're not allowing it to work, because you're right. The principles are practical and they're good, how to treat people. But yet this is why sometimes I'll be wanting to ask people, why do you go to those places? Why do I go to those? But let's be honest. Why do we go? Because when we leave, we're worse off than we were when we came. So you're wasting your time.
Yeah. That was a good one. Letter L. Do not kid or fool yourself thinking this is going to be easy. It's not. And they have this old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. These things, as far as with our morals, like we said earlier, we've dug so much dirt on ourselves throughout the years, watching all this stuff, listening to all this stuff, reading all this stuff. And now we're at a point now to where we think oh, I can get my morals back good overnight. Oh, I can get my morals back in 20 or 30 minutes. It's not going to be that easy. It's going to be tougher now because, like I said, here's the thing, brother. As we get older, we pack more of it in. What I mean by that is we're watching more of the shows. We're listening to more of the show, TV, DVD shows. We're listening to more of the podcast. So all this stuff is just adding up more and more and more. And now it's to a point where I will almost say it's almost impossible to get this stuff out of us.
Yeah, this is true because if it was easy, why haven't we changed? That's if it's easy, why haven't we changed? So we know that it's hard, but what we're dealing with is a people who have lost the ability to change. Now we can do it. Don't get me wrong, because there's always hope. So don't you think that this is a negative broadcast. This is a positive one because we're talking about how to get rid of morals and how to get our morals rather and our values back. But I'm saying most of us have fooled ourselves, and in our minds we say, oh, this is easy. But look at how we're living, man. Look at how we're living. We got 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-year-old people who act like little kids, backbiting, always talking about people, always negative, always trying to do things that's going to bring somebody down instead of lift them up.
Absolutely. As the next one, letter M. Practice demonstrating and applying good morals, especially in front of our youth. Exactly. At a young age, our youth, they're impressionable. Most of the time, they act out what they see. So, for example, if they see us doing wrong, scamming, being negative, cussing, fighting, throwing bottles, fighting people, they're 9 times out of 10 are going to do that. So, in front of our young ones, I don't care if it's a baby, start showing them good principles. Start showing them what it is to be a good parent, a good brother, a good father, a good elder. That way, when they grow older, it's not so hard to take the stuff out of them. Now, here's the thing. As they get older, they may choose to do something, live a different lifestyle, and that is possible. But I'm telling you, for the most part, at a young age, if our children see what it is, how to be a good adult, how to apply good principles, I would say 8 or 9 times out of 10, they probably will be a good people and practice good morals because of what they saw done in front of them through the years.
True. I've snuck in the back door earlier today. I've come through the window on you. Right now, I'm going to kick the front door down. And after that, I'm already in. I'm going to kick the front door down.
Okay.
Practice demonstrating and applying good morals. There it is. We don't practice demonstrating these things in front of our kids. That's why our children are so out of control. They don't see these things. Now, we talk about them, but they don't see us on a daily basis doing the things that we're talking about when it comes to having high standards. They see us cheating people out of whatever. They see us backbiting, talking about our relatives. They see us watching all this smut on TV. They hear us using vulgarity. They see us getting over on our relatives. They see us not want to be bothered with one another. They see us not studying. They see us not reading. And so they see these things, but yet then we want to get in front of them and say, I wish you would be a certain way, when we haven't shown them any demonstration of applying good morals in front of them. See, we always talk about it, but we don't ever do it. Even if we don't say a word, we should be able to demonstrate it. So when they get older, they can say, I remember my relative in my household, they didn't talk about it, they did it. But see, we talk about it, but we don't want to do it.
Yeah. Letter N. Surround yourself with positive influences that will promote good morals and good standards. Yeah, and you know how to surround yourself. For example, when we have negative people in our lives, you don't even always have to tell them, hey, man, I'm cutting you off. I ain't talking to you no more. Do it silently. And when you cut them off, find good people. There's some people in our neighborhood. Everybody in your neighborhood isn't evil. Everybody in your neighborhood isn't a demon. Everybody in your neighborhood isn't always out to get you, but we're too lazy to go out and look for these positive people, so we sit back and complain. But or even email. There's certain groups on the internet. Facebook and them have groups to where if you're interested in a certain thing, there's people in your area who are all interested in that thing. You can meet up, become positive, surround yourself with good people. That way you don't have to worry about living a lifestyle that's always negative, always fighting, always out to get people. And I would say this, brother, I think most of us are comfortable with the negative influences. In fact, we don't want the positive influences. We want the negative ones.
That's so true. Like you said, we surround ourselves with negative influences because birds of the same feather, they flock together. See, we want that. We just don't want to be, as we call, stand up against the truth. We want to be loved. We want people to embrace us. So we don't like to be the ones who come in a house and all the negativity, and we say, hey, this is all this negativity. Let's get into something positive. We just fall right in with them because we're negative people, many of us, and we're going to die negative. 50, 60, 70, 80, 90-year-old people that are very negative and have surrounded themselves with nothing but negativity. Your children are negative. Your relatives are negative. My friends are negative. My coworkers are negative. My friends, wherever I go, is negative. And so this is what we like. And so therefore, we have surrounded ourselves with negative influence, and therefore they cannot promote good morals. In fact, instead of lifting us up, they bring us down.
I want to go back just real quick, brother. Why is it the opposite on the last one? Meaning positive, for the most part, there are a few people who respect it and like it, but for the most part, brother, positive is looked at as whack, corny, lame, and weak. And negative is looked at as good, boastful, proud, and arrogant. So my question is, even if you tell somebody, this is this new thing I adapted, or this is this new philosophy I've looked up, a lot of people are going to laugh and say, oh, that's whack. That is whack. So my thing is, why do people look at being positive as sorry? I mean, that is so crazy.
That's because of what we're talking about now. Low morals have overtaken high morals, I should say. Low standards have overcome high standards. And so therefore, we've mixed the data up to the degree that we want to be bad. Like we said last week, we want to be tough. We want to be a flamethrower. We want to tell people how we are. We want people to know that we don't take no mess off of nobody because of our last names, which are really European. We want people to look at us as if we're tougher than thou, and we don't take the mess. See, this is an aura, a persona that we have built up. And this is why these morals, like we're talking about, are so low, because we don't like to have these kind of discussions. And it's sad that families are so in the gutter, but yet they think that they're out of the gutter, but yet we're low, man, because of these morals that we don't like to talk about as to try to help ourselves.
You said a handful on that, brother. That was a good one. On the next point, letter O, stay committed to high morals and be patient with yourself as you grow and evolve. Yeah, you have to be patient. And I always say this, when things don't go your way or you see that they're getting rocky, don't ditch them and go back to your old ways, because that's what happens. When things get tough, when things get hard, we throw them in the trash and say, you know what? I'm familiar with what I know, so I'll just go back to my old ways because that's easier. No, even though it's tough, practice good morals. Even if there's no one around you practicing good morals. Be that person that is practicing it, that's standing out, and be patient. Because once again, as we said earlier, we've accumulated so much stuff throughout the years. It's going to be hard to tear all this stuff out of us. So you just have to be patient with this process.
Chazz, one of the biggest lies I've ever been told and sung was, going to church, there's a song that I think is called This Joy That I Have. And then it says something about the world didn't give it to me. And then they take it to another level. Oh, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. And it goes on to say, this joy that I have, the world didn't give it to me. The world didn't give it, and the world can't take it away. That's the biggest lie. Yes, that's the biggest lie. Because in that building, that joy is, it's true. In that building, when they're tickling that keyboard and that ivory and all these instruments, the joy is there because they feel good, you see. But as soon as we leave that building, the very joy that we just sung about, we cussing somebody out about it because they were in our parking lot, or because somebody drove in front of us, or because something didn't go our way. So you see, we're not committed. We're not committed, you see, and we're not patient with ourselves as we grow and evolve. We think it's going to happen overnight. But I'm telling you now, this broadcast is a broadcast that many people despise. You notice how they start watching the broadcast and then they fall off, because they're not interested in the part that's the application that we're talking about, because applicable things make you have to do something. Whereas other broadcasts, not all, but many of them, they just talk. They give you facts. They give you information. They don't challenge you. And that's why we don't have many people who are committed to watching this thing every Wednesday, because they know that at some point in time in this broadcast, we're going to turn that thing around on them and turn it on us too, so we can be better people.
Well, and I'll just say real quick before I go to the next one, it's not about, like you said, trying to save the world or save a village. There's only going to be a couple people who accept it. And for those people who watch it faithfully and even watch the replay, we appreciate it. But, brother, we have to get to the aspect of knowing it's not for everybody. A lot of people are going to hit and miss. But my thing is trying to recover the people who are committed and who do want it. That's where I'm at with it.
That's good.
For the next letter P. Do not allow anyone or anything to bring your morals to a low level. Right. Even no matter how mad they may make you, no matter what they may do to you, even if they backstab you, yeah, it may hurt. But don't let that get you to the point to where now you're acting like them. Because, see, here's what makes a lot of people mad. They anticipate getting you angry, and they anticipate you getting back even with them. But when you don't do that and you say, I'm going to ignore it, I'm just going to look the other way, or I'm just not even going to entertain getting even with him or her, they're going to say, oh, who do you think you are? You think you better than me? You're not going to try to get back at me for what I did to you the other day or things like that? That's why I would say being the better person in most scenarios is going to spare you your life. It is. It's going to keep your life, because always trying to get even with people is going to get you in that casket. So I would just say simply, quit being so eager to get back at someone who's done you wrong, even though they may be on the low level. Ignore, and I know it's hard. And when I say ignore it, a lot of people may just look at me and say, whatever, that's easier said than done. But that's what you have to do. It's something, brother, I'm telling you now, if you ignore a lot of this stuff won't happen. Now, when I say ignore, I don't mean like if someone comes and slaps you in the face. Of course, you address them. But I'm saying some of these other things, like when someone steal something from you or things like that, you ignore it, it'll just go out the other way.
Chaz, I don't know if you old enough to remember, but back in the day, they had these little bitty dolls, and they called them hoodoo dolls or voodoo dolls, which it has nothing to do with the real religion of voodoo. So I'm not trying to cut the religion down, because there's good in all of it. It's just that they have these dolls, and you can stick a doll, and that person would feel it. Or you can do something to that doll and that person would feel it. Well, what I'm trying to say tonight is many of us have allowed people to do us that way without the doll. In other words, they know which buttons to push. They know what to say to get us to fly off the handle. And instead of us not allowing anyone or anything to bring us to a low level, as soon as they hit us with those trigger words or those trigger faces, then we go to the moon. And this is why I'm telling you now, Chaz, this thing about religion, and every week it seems like I won't let it go, because that's a big part of our lives. Right. This thing about religion, Chaz, and I'm not talking about Christianity, Islam, spirituality, not the real practice of the principles, but the people, the words that we use. Chaz, I'm telling you now, it's a joke. It's a joke.
Ooh, come on, brother.
We have fooled ourselves, Chaz. See, we don't study, we don't research, we don't meditate. We're flying a plane blinded. We're up in the air. We're gonna have to land it, and we're gonna crash. We're not even looking at the equipment to land a plane. We're living on a day-to-day basis. We have no guidance. There's nothing leading us. There's not a religion in the world that's helping lead us as a group of people, because if it were, we wouldn't be in the pitiful state we're in. Most people don't study, they don't research, they're not serious about it. So basically, they just live each day hoping for the best. They up one day, down the next, schizophrenic, and those who do go, it doesn't work because they're not applying the principles. So what I'm saying is, we're in a bad state, man. As a people, we are in a terrible state, because anybody can get us up in the air to bring our morals low. And I'll say this, and I promise this will be my last thing on this point. Another thing is this: do not allow anything to bring your morals to a low level. Chaz, do you know that some things can make you do something? If you want something really bad, you will allow a refrigerator, if that's what you want. You will allow a stove. You will allow headphones. If you want those things so bad, you will do anything to get them. And so therefore you stoop to such a low level, And that's why we don't get many comments when we talk about this, because most of us hide behind our cell phones and we know that we are hit. All of us are hit. You're hit, I'm hit, and all of us are hit. But this is what the coward does this. The coward hides behind their cell phone when they look at these kind of broadcasts, and they just look at them, and then some of them don't want to be bothered. So I'm telling you now, man, this is really sad. This is really sad what we're talking about, but this is how we get our morals back. The question is, do we want them? That's the question, Chazz. Do we really want these morals back, or don't we?
I don't think we do, brother. I think as society in 2024, we're at a point where we don't want our morals back. We really don't. You just, like I said, look at the movies, look at the TV shows, the radio shows. All these things show you that we don't want them. I wanted to just ask you a quick question real quick on your previous point that you made. You said that none of these things are working, like the spirituality, Christianity, Buddhism, Hinduism. Okay, if they're not working, and I'm agreeing with you saying most of the time it doesn't work, why haven't these buildings and stuff shut down then if they're not working?
Because it's all about money. It's all about notoriety. It's all about fame. It's all about status. It's all about being seen. It's all about wearing fancy hats. It's all about wearing fancy suits. It's all about wearing fancy ankhs. It's all about wearing crescent moons. It's all about saying the right words. It's all about posturing. It's all about walking a certain way. It's all about crying and acting, putting on a show. It's all about singing a song. It's all about clapping your hands. And I can go on and on and on and on and on, as you see I am. So that's why they haven't closed, because it's entertainment. It's a fad. It's fake. It's like you can watch wrestling and you know that stuff is fake. Ain't no man gonna jump off of no turnbuckle, no ropes, and dive on the table and all this with brass knuckles and no blood come out. And we say, man, that's fake. I don't watch that.
Right.
We're fake every day. We are fake every day. Relationships are fake. Romance is fake. Everything is fake. We're so into ourselves that we have lost the privacy of learning how to have good morals. If women and men really realized and looked at ourselves, our morals would be higher. We don't have to go to a building to get these morals. We don't have to go to a religious setting. We don't have to go to a spiritual setting, because I know that if I walk in your house and there's a $20 bill on that table, I know that's not mine. So for me to just pick it up, put it in my pocket, and then when did you see it? I tell you, Chazz, I didn't see it. And you said, John, come on, man. I didn't really see it. And then when you tell somebody else in our family, you know, John hit me up for $20. He stole from me. Instead of them saying, John, that's a rotten scoundrel. He shouldn't have done that. What they're going to say is, well, maybe he didn't do it. Maybe you put it in another room. See, this is what gets
right.
Say, maybe you did something else. And I'm just getting hot thinking about it, because they're going to case for me. They weren't. You knew I took that money, and you're trying to explain to them. And instead of them saying that's a low down dog, Jahi, to steal that money from you, they're going to say, well, are you sure you put it there? Yeah, you know where you put that money, but they're going to take up for me. And I'm telling you now, Chazz, I got to really work on that. And I'm being honest. I got to work on that, because I get sick and tired of people caping for other people. When you tell them something, you know that's true, because their morals are so low. They're so low, they're going to speak up for somebody that they don't even know.
You're absolutely right. And that has to stop. But I don't think it will, as far as for people just taking up for people, even though they're in the wrong. They're wrong. But tonight was a good show. It was basically about morals, how to get them back, how to respond when certain things come our way, how to elevate these morals, not worrying about what others are going to say with us when we practice good morals. And last but not least, our youth. We are adults. There is no way on earth we should be acting the way we do in front of them. Always cussing, always fighting. Excuse me. Always fighting in front of them, always disrespecting someone on the phone in front of them. Some of them are drinking in front of the kids now, smoking in front of the kids. We know better than this. And that's the point I really want to hit home before I pass it to you. Our youth, they are so precious. We have to show them at a young age what it is like, how to be a good individual, and how to become just a good citizen. These kids cannot afford to keep living like this. They already have a lot of stuff on their plate from the mental health aspect, because they're involved with social media. They're watching a lot of the things that they see online, and that's even corrupting them. Maybe we need to do something on the morals in the youth, training them up, as they say in the Bible, in the way that they should go, so when they get older, that they don't depart from it. That's what they say in the Bible. But we're not thinking about that verse. We can care less about that verse. Our youth are really at a terrible spot, and most of it is because of us.
Wow, that was heavy, Chaz. That's heavy.
And that's all I have to say about that. But I'll pass it to you, brother.
You know, I've never in my life, in my parting words tonight, I've never in my life felt the way I feel now. And you say, well, what do you mean by that? I feel like a monk that I want to go to a cave and go away from people, because I've always wanted to be around people because that's my personality. But lately here, I feel like I want to go somewhere in a cave and barricade myself and never come out. You know, and I could care less. I could care less if I see another face. Now, that's just how I'll be feeling. I know I'm not going to do that. But people,
well, what's going on?
Well, what it is right now, Chaz, when you talk about morals, we live in a corrupt society that's so low. I want to be away from it, is what I'm trying to say. I want to get away from all this nonsense. I want to get away from the pain. I want to get away from the people posturing and trying to be more than they are. I want to get away from all these people who think they're more than they are when they're really not. All these religious people who think they're higher than thou when they're rotten. They're just as worse as everybody. So what I'm saying is I would never do that, because I know that. But I'm just talking about sometimes I think like these people that just say, I want to get away from society so I can just reflect, because they're not going to let you reflect, because they're going to keep coming at you. So this broadcast for the last few weeks have been on morals. Last week we talked about how we've lost the morals. This week we talked about how we get them back. Please take these this week and take the applications this week and apply them, y'all. We can all do better. Be able to express the things that you're dealing with, even in your shortcomings and my shortcomings. We have to be honest, y'all. We got to stop playing games with ourselves, because time is winding up and we're getting older, and we should set an example, as you eloquently said, for these kids. These kids don't need to see us bickering. These kids don't need to see us fighting. These kids don't need to see us cussing one another out. These kids don't need to see us not talking to one another. These kids need to see a loving person who's able to articulate what they're going through, who's working on themselves, who may not be perfect, but yet they're doing the best they can. So once again, the name of this broadcast is called Adults Only. The guy you see on the other screen is Chazz. I'm Big Brother Jahi, and we do this every Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. We hope that you have learned something today that you can take with you throughout your life, because these principles are really timeless. We really want you to know that we care for you, and that's why we're so passionate about our subject. So next week, we may come back with another subject dealing with lying. I know we said that was on the agenda. Why do adults lie so much? So we might look at that, and we also have some other ones on the back burner. But once again, on behalf of Chazz, I'm Big Brother Jahi. We'll see you guys next Wednesday at 6 o'clock Central Standard Time, 7 o'clock Eastern. Having said that, we say to all of you, go in peace, and we hope to see you again very, very soon. Have a nice evening.
Take care, everybody.